Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Have some control over your life. Now, this is very important for a man. Now, anybody who's followed me for a while, know I'm big on sovereignty. I'm big on having control over my life. And I tell men, to the greatest extent possible, have some control over your life. You know, have some sovereignty. Be in a position of leverage over the things, or have leverage with the things you don't have direct control with. Always be in a strong position. Now, the best thing that you have control over is yourself. That's the only thing you have 100% control over. You don't have 100% control over another human being, even if you're their parent, they live under you, because they're still independent. Or a mate, you don't have 100% control over them because they have their own mind. But you have control over yourself. So you got to start with that. You got to control your reactions to things. You got to control your actions. You know, when I talk about money, you notice I'm very much against using money to impress a woman or spend it on her or anything like that. But I always said, you need money for yourself. And that's control right there. Now, you know, different people would have, make their money differently. Some people have to work for somebody, have a career or something like that. Some people are entrepreneurial. I would say this, if you have to work for somebody, either through circumstances or you just like the career period, that's just the nature of it, which is fair. When you get public servants, they just like the career. Okay, put yourself in a position of leverage. Have control, as much control there as possible. Put yourself in a position that they can't get rid of you easy. Put yourself in a position where you're viable, where you have some input as to what happens to you on that job. Now, if you're entrepreneurial, hey, you still have you have more control. Not even still, have more control. Because you decide what you want to do for a living. You decide how you want to deal with customers. You decide, how your business is run. Now, of course, you want to do it in such a way where it's efficient, but that's your control. You decide. And, even in my book, Nice Guys and Players, I suggest that all men, even if they have a six-figure job, have some type of business on the side. Have that one thing you can control. So that's one thing. Now, you can have as much control as possible as to where you live, or at least leverage as to where you live. You don't want to be forced to take some place in a bad neighborhood or bad circumstance. Or you don't want to be forced to maybe stay with your parents or some other generous relative for a while. You want to be in a position where you have some control or at the minimum leverage as to where you live. You want to exercise it to the greatest extent possible. Understand something. The very nature of masculine energy, the very nature of it is to impose its will on its environment, to remake its environment. Now, okay, ultimately that's tough because of the world we live in. And even a trillionaire, well, we might have some, believe it or not, they just don't show up in magazines, but even a trillionaire still has to deal with other people. But they have leverage and they have an enormous amount of control. And so the same thing is with just ordinary people, ordinary men, because this is for the man. And you got to have it, like in all things. When you're dealing with women. See, one of the things with this channel, if, I've had a detractor or two say, well, he's teaching them this, he's teaching them that. No, I'm teaching you how to have options, control over it. I'm teaching you how to be in a position where you can deal with the quality woman of your choosing on your terms. That's still control, because ultimately control is a choice. You choose to deal with this particular person, or you choose not to deal with this particular person. You're not forced. It's your world. I've talked about that before. And like I said, if anybody really pay attention to things I talk about, it's all about sovereignty. It's all about control. Every man should be working towards it. I don't care who you are. If you're a young man, you hearing this, okay, I'm telling you where to go for. However you get there is your choice, your mission. But you got to go on your terms. This is what you want to happen. You know, this is what you want to happen. And, you know, I put some control in the title. Like I said, it's you know, the type of world we live in, we got to deal with other people. So having ultimate control, that's not going to really happen. But having a choice, a control over your choice on how to deal with certain circumstances is very easy. And I'm going to tell you why it's easy. People might say, oh, Rob, that's tough to do. No, because you start with yourself. That's easy to do. You start with that choice. That's easy. When you start with that choice to control yourself and exercise that control, everything else falls into place. I will use myself for an example. I don't work for anyone. Even if people might notice, they might say, hey, Rom, you should do this, you should do that. And, you know, I just kind of ignore them. If they nice enough, I might just heart the comment, but I still won't do it because it's my choice. It's my world. And, you know, the thing is, I can make a video or a podcast anytime. So I'm making my money off of my will. And somebody say, well, these other people paying you. You can't control them. No, I can't, but I can control what I present. And everybody who is in business needs to think that way. You can control what you present. You got 100% control over that. So you can say, well, this is what I'm going to talk about, or this is the product I'm going to make. If you're a service, you know, you might own a business. You might own a plumbing business or something, you know. Oh, and that's another thing, too. Now that I said plumbing, well, let me say this. You could own a plumbing business and decide, you know, this is the level of service. But that reminded me of something else. When you have control over your life, don't let someone else dictate to you what you should do for a living. And I don't care. I know there's some people, they say, well, they look down on blue-collar men or something like that, or women want this type of professional. Okay, but what I just say, you don't let somebody else dictate to you. This your life. This your control. You know? Like I mentioned plumbing. What if you that man who can create a plumbing business? Indeed, a plumbing empire. You get some of these. I was driving past this one big old building. It was a plumbing company, big old building. And I thought to myself, you know, that started out just one guy fixing somebody's pipe. They got control. Don't get caught up in the titles or something. If this is what you call to do, you do it. If you meet some woman talking about, well, I don't like your job. Well, tell her you don't like her body and keep it moving. You know, tell her, yo, like her attitude. Okay. And if you want to be nice about it, say, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. See you later. Well, see you around. You know, because that's one thing. You do what you want to do, what you please to do. That's control too. You got to live your life because that's what it's your will. So I want y'all to think about that. I want y'all to try it. Just work for it. Work for it. Like I say, you know what? I said the easy part is controlling yourself, but then making it happen does take time. It does take time. It ain't going to happen overnight, but the only thing that can happen overnight is you making the decision to control your life. Then your mindset starts to change right then, and then you will start doing things that will cause the rest of the world to react to you in such a way that will give you that control, but you got to have it. All right? As a man, that's what it means to be a man. All right? To exercise will over your environment. So that's all I got for today. I'll get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.